Welcome to another episode of Shots from the Winchester podcast, where we explore leadership topics from a variety of perspectives. This podcast is brought to you by Greencastle Consulting, your nation's premier strategy execution firm. All right, Matt Smith, welcome to the show, Valor Built. So you're a former military. You're also one of your wife is works here. So you're
Amy.
Amy. She's awesome, by the way. We love Amy. Let's talk about your military background, because what is your journey actually from the military to now? Because you're running your own business now. Was that always was this always Valor Built? Was this always your goal, or did this just kind of fall into your lap?
Yeah. So I will say this: wave tops of my military career was graduated West Point in 2014 as a second lieutenant. Mm-hmm. Then went to Fort Benning for infantry officer basic leader course. Oh. Then when I finished there, went to Fort Campbell. And in about 6 months from getting to Fort Campbell, this is right around 2015, 2016, took over a platoon and a heavy weapons company. And that heavy weapons company that I was in, we deployed to Iraq in 2016 to just north of Baghdad, just south of Mosul. Mm. We were there until late January of 2017. Mm-hmm. My task there mission there was to train the 9th Iraq Army. Mm-hmm. So it was right around the time when we stopped fighting ISIS and we were training Iraq to fight ISIS, especially in Mosul. Mm-hmm. And when we finished there, I came back and got an executive officer job at Cherokee Company in 126 at Fort Campbell. Nice. From there, I had about 6 months to a year left, and I took over for a company that was Ford, so I was a Rear D commander, and then started to study for the GMAT. Nice. and got into Johns Hopkins University for my master's program. Wow. And once I got into there, I got out of the Army, moved to Colorado because Amy got Fort Carson as her secondary post after Captain's Career Course, which I did not go to. Okay. And I was a civilian out in Colorado and going to grad school. So, wow. Yeah.
So it's got to be different.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, we wanted to come back to this part of the country because we're both from this kind of region. Yeah. And we wanted to come back to start a family. Nice. But if we didn't have family here, we would have never left. I mean, there was a night where I was in the kitchen and I made the argument to her. I was like, I know how selfish this may sound, but I want to raise a family near ours. Yeah. And I know when I say that, when that comes out, that immediately puts the burden on you to either let me down or be the person that got what they wanted, as in staying in Colorado. Yeah. So that was a tough discussion. And obviously it's led us back here, and we'll always have a Colorado in our hearts. And I know that sounds corny, but that place is where we bought our first house, and we had a dog. And as you know, when you're starting your life with someone like that, it's it feels like the beginning. Yeah. And to kind of put a detour into that and move back home with not knowing where we were going to work and what jobs we were going to have, and her deciding whether she was going to stay in or get out of the Army, that was the biggest intersection of our lives, let alone our marriage. Yeah. So it led us back here, and we're happier than we've ever been. So wow. Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take a leap. You got to take that risk. Now you're a licensed contractor now.
For sure.
So let's jump into that.
Yeah.
So how did you go from that? Now I know you guys built your own house.
For sure. Yep.
You built this house too, with Amy's help as well. Yep. Tell me about that, because you guys have a YouTube channel, and you were blowing up on your YouTube channel. In fact, I was watching
getting tens and tens of views.
Yeah. Yeah. But I was watching the progress going through, putting up the wall, putting the bones up, everything like that. And so what made you want to create a YouTube channel to commemorate this entire
So if we take it back, we watched a documentary in Colorado, Amy and I, called My Biggest Little Farm. It's about a husband and wife that left the Hollywood goal and moved and bought a farm. Yeah. And they documented the whole thing. The husband was a director, and it didn't work out for him as in terms of directing. Yeah. And then ended up directing a 10 award-winning documentary about building a farm in California. It's an incredible story. So after that was right around the time we were kicking around the idea to build our own house with my dad. Yeah. And in my mind, I've always enjoyed video and film, and it's more like a documentary than it is an actual educational piece on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I wanted to document it, and it started off as like my dad built his own house. So my dad's been building houses for 40 years now.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And he built his own house when he was 25 years old in the 80s.
Jeez.
So when I asked him to show me some pictures or whatever, he had 2 Polaroids of him and his buddies on the roof.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I always remember being like, that is something I would have loved to have seen.
Yeah.
Of when I was not even a human yet. My dad building a house for him and my mom.
Yeah.
And it kind of pushed me to be like, I do have an iPhone. I bought a drone.
Yeah.
And I know how to load videos on YouTube. So I want to document it for my future family.
Yeah.
And then while I'm at it, if people watch it and enjoy it, then that's what it is. But that was not the goal to be YouTube famous or anything.
And what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's called Let's Build a House.
Let's Build a House.
And you have to use the apostrophe. So if you don't use the apostrophe, it goes to like a kid's cartoon show. But the apostrophe in Let's is crucial.
Okay.
But yeah, so when I was leaving, or excuse me, when Amy was leaving the military, the decision to come back home, the discussion was where. And where are we going to live, and what jobs are we going to have? And like I said, pretty serious intersection there.
Yeah.
And I called my dad, started talking to him about what we could do, or, he's still back in this area. And his argument was, these houses, as you know, the market is not favorable. And he kind of made a flippant comment, and he goes, let's build a house. And it sounds crazy, but it was the first time where a crazy idea was like, yes, like, let's go, let's figure it out. My dad has not only the knowledge and the expertise and experience, but I have the energy and drive, and let's do it. So we started looking for land. Yeah. And within about 3 to 4 months, we found a nice couple acre property in Glen Mills. We bought it and moved home and built a house. It took us almost about 2 years. Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to talk about getting a master's degree, building your own house in terms of the building process and the sequencing, I mean, the knowledge I gained from that is better than any school you can find in the country. And I'm not downplaying schools. It's just, I built my own house. I put every screw in that place. So great learning opportunity. And midway through that was when I said, this is what I want to do for other people. And this is what I want to do for the rest of my career. Wow. It's a hybrid between sales and running a project or company well, and then managing a project in the field, and all of the changing details and all the changing weather. And I am not great in an office, called it like in the small cubicle segment. That's not exactly what I like to do. And there's also this amazing thing where these subcontractors and contractors that we work with have a very similar vibe to infantry soldiers and to Army soldiers. And they have the ability to get up on the roof when it's 90 degrees. And they also have the ability to carry, and all the ingenuity it takes to put these projects together. But there isn't a stuffy corporate environment feel to it. We can have discussions, we can have arguments, and I loved all of that. Like when I was in the Army, my commander was a Harvard grad, and I had a guy in my platoon who was homeless through high school. Wow. So the change and the difference in people is something I've always enjoyed. And on a construction site, the guy who knows the most about this project, that can run it the best, or knows the most about his part and his trade, may have been a drug addict. May have been a high school dropout. May have problems with the law. Whatever it may be, it doesn't matter, because on that day he's the best at what he's doing on that site. And I've always appreciated people who find themselves in this trade.
That's awesome, man. When you have a talent like that, and it doesn't matter, like you said, like what your life situations are.
Totally.
You are the subject matter expert in that moment for what you're doing. Plumbing, electricity, whatever it is, you're the person for that. Yeah,
and a lot of people find true deep meaning and purpose and value to walking up to something that's just grass. And then in 7-10 months a home that someone can live in.
Yeah.
Like the physical representation of your work and your education being come to light is very valuable for a lot of people. I know it is for me.
Yeah.
I love walking into your guys' bathrooms that we're working on right now.
Yeah.
And the before and after picture is a drug to me. It really is. You know? So that is something I keep chasing and running after, is that feeling of that, like I said, that like physical representation of the work we've done all day. It makes it feel more meaningful. It really does.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how many projects have you done here at Greencastle so far? Because like I know you did the flagpole outside. You're doing the bathrooms now. You renovated the golf simulator. Right. What else has?
We added 2. So actually, you guys have a large office area that we broke into 4 minor office areas.
Right. Yes.
And added some glass in there and whatnot. And then what we did was we took the golf simulator. If you remember, it was like walking in, you were kind of risking your life on someone's backswing. So we took that wall down and we added a good 10 feet to the backside of that room.
Yeah.
And then painted and refinished. And now you guys have, when you walk in there, you're in a new room. You're in a new space.
It's nice.
And it's more comfortable, not only more just aesthetically pleasing. So we finished that one almost exactly a year ago.
Wow.
And then this March, called second week of March, we started the renovations on all 5 of your bathrooms in this office.
Yeah.
And the game plan was to start with the small ones, the ones that were the unisex small bathrooms, and leapfrog. Yeah. So we're doing the first 2. They're already done, the one with the shower.
Right.
And then we'll do the 2 stalled bathrooms and then finish with the 3rd one at the end. So
Nice. Yeah. How do you feel shifting from the military into your own company now?
Well, I'll say this. When I was getting out of the Army, you can ask Amy, I had 11 really good ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe 25.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a smoke jumper. I was thinking about working.
Smoke jumper?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, jumping out of helicopters to fight fires in California. I'm weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
I
got
wouldn't
sucked.
have guessed that from you.
No. That's what it was a craving to find my next purpose is what was happening. And it was just jumping out of me. And it was a representation too of I know my worth and I know I can be of value somewhere, but my resume is misleading in terms of a corporate sector.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing for me. Like one of the interviews I had in Colorado, on there they said, we're going to pay you X amount. And this is due to your 1 year in logistical experience. And in my mind, I said, well, that was because I finished off my time in Iraq as an executive officer. And then for the next year, I was in XO for that battalion.
Right.
And I don't think it's apples to apples. Like I was managing a battalion's fleet of vehicles and redeploying them through 5 nations, none of which speak English. Yeah. And I was the point for our, like, this isn't like I was making sure the Lay's chips got into
the
vending machine. Like I was logistically planning major projects. Yeah. And I was concerned, and I don't know if I did a great job of communicating that. And I think there's a lot of people that can resonates with is the inability to say that I was an infantry officer, and that's going to help me at, target corporate. Yeah. What is the real connection there? And I think that is a really valuable thing that guys and girls leaving the military now that can figure out, is that you are way more valuable than you think. Yeah. It's just communicating it.
Right. Right. And understanding what it was that you did that made that difference, I think, too, because we talk about that a lot here. We have skill bridgers that come into in here to learn more about being consultants and stuff. But we talk about that here about like transitioning out of the military into civilian life, and like how does that work? What skills do you have, and how do they translate into a resume for you? Right. To promote yourself. And I think there's a lot of difficulty. That's why I like having conversations with people like yourself, because you came out of the military, you're doing well for yourself, you've got your own business now, and I think that's something that when people are thinking about leaving the military or retiring or whatever it is, and they don't know what's next, they can listen to a conversation like this and they can say, you know what, I could probably do the same thing, or I can make a move that maybe feels risky, but if you don't take any chances, if you don't take any risks, or you don't bet on yourself,
what are you doing?
Right.
You know?
No, you're going to want to finish this whole life thing up and say you took a shot at something.
Gotta do it.
You got to. And it doesn't really matter what that looks like.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean if you don't start your own company, you failed at taking a shot. That's not at all what I'm saying.
Right.
But you want to know that when you're putting your head on the pillow at night, that you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're really putting your energy towards something positive.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean if I wake up and work harder, I'll just make more money. That's not purpose.
Right.
You know, that's a means to an end.
Yeah.
And it will end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So that, and now you're a contractor. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you're a licensed contractor. You have a team. Mm-hmm. Also, how did you build your team?
Well, I'll say this. If I can go back to answer that question a little bit.
Yeah.
I think this is intriguing, and I don't know how many people this will, like I said, resonate with. But when I was in high school, like when I was older, a teenager, I would work for my dad in the summer. He owned his own framing company. He was a carpenter contractor by trade. Mm-hmm. He had a team of about 6 to 8 guys, and in the summer he said, my rule is you got to get a job summer." Which, looking back on it, was brilliant. It's awesome. I made some money. It kept me out of trouble. All that.
Yeah, I ran that same.
Yeah, it's smart. It's
too,
smart.
Yeah.
You gotta, you can't just lay around. So,
Yeah.
in that process, though, you've got 5:30 wake ups. Mm-hmm. You've got 95 to 100 degree heat. You've got no skills.
Right.
Other than I know how to carry the trash and do the things that no one else wants to do. It's a labor type, role.
Yeah.
Now, my dad did a great job of putting me in positions to frame walls and actually kind of get an interest in it. But when I was that age, I looked at construction or taking over my dad's company as a version of me failing. Mm-hmm. And that has nothing to do with my dad and his company and his expertise and his trade. Mm-hmm. It has everything to do with that's kind of what everyone thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I was going to end up being.
Yeah, you didn't want to buff the expectations.
Right.
Right.
And like I said, it had nothing to do with it. Just that feeling of I want to find my own thing because I know there's somewhere in me in this teenage body that I do have value and I will show it somewhere. It just hasn't been yet.
Yeah.
So construction is the backup plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I got back and started building my own house, I was like, "Oh, this is not the backup
in
plan.
your
I
blood.
love this. I love this because now I have skills, and now I have the ability to communicate to clients better what their options are, and ways to save, and where they don't want to save, and I can see the value of what I bring to construction, and it's not just carrying plywood when it's 100 degrees and hating how much I get paid.
Yeah,
right. It's different now.
Right.
So I starting my own company. In a trade that I thought was a failed, enterprise for me.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's been enjoyable. So
it's more valuable, I think, in some way when you really figure out what it is that you wanted to do. Like when I was doing, I used to defeat myself. I'd say, I can't do video. I can't do, I always grew up thinking, I'd love to be a director. I'd love to film things. I'd love to do that and make movies and stuff like that and be a producer or whatever, or a director. But then I was just like, oh no, that's for those people who do that kind of stuff,
Right. You quit before you fail.
Yeah. You defeat yourself before you have a chance to even get anywhere.
Right.
And then I walked into an office building, and there was 2 like conjoined offices, and the guys were doing video production. And one guy said, "Hey, you want to come through, hang out, you come every week, and I'll show you stuff." Mm-hmm. So I was like, "What?
Right.
How nice of a guy are you?" So. Yeah, he led me through, and I started doing stuff, and then I ended up cleaning up a photograph for somebody. This is pre-Photoshop, by the way. Mm-hmm. This was just like computers and stuff like that. I ended up cleaning up a photograph of a guy who's, I think it was like his 80th or 90th birthday or something like that, and it was a picture of him as a child, and he'd never seen it without all the little cracks in the picture. And I cleaned up all the cracks, and we used that for a photo montage.
Right.
For
Impact.
And I wasn't there, but the guy came back and was like, "Hey, how'd that photo turn out?" He said, "Dude, when he saw that photo, he cried."
Yeah.
I was like, and then the moment he said that, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Hooked.
That's important. You know, when you find that thing and you really realize that this is me now, you know, like your whole life changes. You just get a whole new lease on it.
It's like you can see colors again.
Yeah. It's really exciting. Right. It gets really exciting. So I hope that anyone out there, especially if you're listening to this right now, you get that feeling. If you haven't already gotten that feeling when you find that thing, for yourself, like, you know, like this. And so when you got that, you know, when that hit, what was the first thing, if you know, what was the first thing that you thought of when you were like, this is what I want to do? Was it like, I want to turn this into my business right away? Or did you just say like, I just want to build more houses?
It's the first time where our first project we built a bakery in Phoenixville. And it's right on Bridge Street.
Yeah.
It's a first like major project we did.
Yeah. As Valor built?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to go back, and I'll answer that, but I started this company with my partner, John, who worked for my dad for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And he was a great supplement to the construction knowledge basis that I was lacking, in my opinion, obviously. I can't put 15 years of knowledge in just one build of my house.
Yeah.
And he's he's an absolute star. I mean, there's not many people in this area his age that can handle the projects that he has. True savant when it comes to some of this stuff. But when we finished the project was for, it's called 260 Bridge. They're a nonprofit company, and they put people with special needs to work.
Oh, wow.
So Nathaniel, who runs the cash register, has Down syndrome. Yeah. Incredible guy. Amazing. And their nonprofit is associated with, you know, people with special needs and making sure they have a purpose and have the ability to earn money. Yeah. And being able to finish that project for them and watch them go up, you know, and be able to sell their baked goods and the impact that we, I think, helped with. Yeah. We like, I would say a week later, we did a breakdown on our profit margin, where we could have maybe kind of saved money on here and there, and things we can now purchase with this new money. And it was cool to look at the number of what we made for managing that project for like 13 minutes. Right. And the relationship I have with Kristen and Brian and Nathaniel, and when I go in Phoenixville stopping in for a baked good from there is way cooler. Yeah. And it's almost like I want to be involved in projects and be involved in a career where I forget to invoice. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. I'm going to remember. Right. You better. I'm going to remember. But the goal would be to be involved in projects where I'm doing this just because I want to be here. Yeah. And yes, I need to make money because I have a family and that's how the world works and all that. Right. But I want to be here because I want to be here. Yeah. And I found that building my house. Wow. It's like, we've got a problem of how we're going to frame this, finish this, or what type of designer is going to get this to the end. Yeah. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. Right. So something that extends your past the workday is when you know you've got something you're interested in, I'd say. Yeah, that's a good look. Wow. Yeah. That's really good. So you got a beautiful family now. Yeah. You know, you did little exactly daughter. What you were. Yeah, little daughter. Started a family. Like yeah. So that's awesome. So she's going to grow up in this house. Yep. Yeah. So this is your first house that you've built now for yourself. What's the future of Valor Built? Yeah, so that is that's the question I wrestle with more than you might think, especially if I'm driving or from the shower or from you know that walk or run time where your brain can't focus on anything but exactly what you're doing. Yeah, I think that's one challenge we've had. And everyone has this challenge, but one of the bigger challenges we've had is, what do we build? Yeah. And in a video that I put out on our Instagram, we had such a focus of, are we residential or are we commercial? Do we do remodels or new construction? And all these things are coming into your mind. And we kind of changed it in the first couple of years. Is what we separate ourselves from the market is we manage projects really well. Yeah. That's it. And that's all we can focus on right now is we don't know what the next phone call is going to be. Yeah. We don't have a big enough team or enough market, share to be able to say we only do kitchens or we only specifically build this. But this is how you find out. But our niche is that we manage the crap out of these projects, right? And that will bring more phone calls and more opportunity. Right. So the goal right now is to get that shot group of what we're trying to build and do tighter and tighter. Yeah. Because that, I think we can all agree, is the best and simplest way to grow. Yeah. I can't scale a company where we build and do 16 different things. Yeah, that's a lot. There's so much. That's like the Cheesecake Factory menu. Yeah. Right. It's easier to make 3 really good dinners. Yeah. and not 60 like at Grease Cheesecake Factory. But in the scaling process, which we're going through right now, actually, we may hire someone this afternoon. the scaling process is challenging because you've got to find someone who fits the makeup of what your company is now, but also the makeup of what your company will be in 3 years.
Wow.
So we're working through that right now. And I think the goal for me, for our company, is to be able to manage projects that are a little bit not larger as in like we'll make more money, but we are slowly transitioning out of the kitchen, bathroom, small projects just because of what we manage and what we're better at.
Yeah.
So we don't want to put a number on what we manage, but we do have kind of an idea of what the job cost number will be that we're starting to say, like, we're going to price ourselves out of this project and we can't get sucked into this style of a project. So we're getting, we're saying no to clients now for the first time in our 3rd year. So
wow.
Yeah. So that feels like somehow like a measure of success somehow that we're actually deterring work.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I said in the video was we're also looking for the right clients.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a reason I'm back at Greencastle to do more work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Eric and Joe have been great, not only for hiring us, but the whole process alone. And I hope that my customer journey with them has gotten better and better.
Oh, yeah.
But there are a lot of clients that are not like them.
Yeah.
And that can really drag you down and pull you down. And you got to be careful of who you work with, because when we do, let's just say I'm going to build a new construction house, like we're doing one right now in Chadsford.
Yeah.
That's a 9-month engagement with that family.
Yeah.
They better like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be with them every other day, selections meetings, design meetings, budget meetings. There is a lot of detail that goes into these projects.
Yeah.
And if we can't connect and if we can't be in the same room, or you are expecting too much or not enough, I mean, you have to figure that out and make sure that works first. So client hunting is important.
That is important. That's very important.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It's challenging.
Well, what a journey, man.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been cool. And, and the other thing that I would say connects to your conversation about transitioning from the military is when you're communicating that, like, why would you be a good fit at X company, right? It's similar to when I go up to our first 3 clients and go, we're the company for this project. Yeah. And they go, okay, why? And it's like, in your mind, you're like, I don't have any proof yet. Yeah. I just know. Yeah. Yeah. So being able to be competent and confident about something you haven't proven not only to yourself but to that client is the beginning of how everyone has to start. Yeah. It all starts with just a flip of the coin and you just got to go for it and jump. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we're doing now. And you get more and more comfortable and, some of the imposter syndrome starts to fade. Yeah. And when that fades and you do trust yourself and the decisions that you can make and help with a client, then the confidence sets in, and then you can get dangerous, and that's hopefully where we're headed.
Yeah, I feel it for sure. Yeah. Well, Matt Smith, thank you so much for being on the show.
Great.
We really appreciate it. Definitely want you to come back on, especially to have more conversations like this in the future and everything like that. Perfect. Where can people find you if they want to hire you or just learn more about Valor Built?
So we have an Instagram. It's valorbuilt_construction. We have a website. It's www.valorbuiltllc.com, and all of our information you can reach out that way. Phone numbers are on there, and so we're in the greater Philadelphia area if you're interested. So
awesome. Well, guys, put a like on this. Leave some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this conversation. If you want to have more of a conversation down below, definitely go for it. We put out new episodes every week. Talk to you soon.